The strongest are not always the survivors. Sometimes it is only the most watchful. The hunters move through the world like a held breath, waiting to be released. Few things are as patient as a creature that has not eaten in days. The calm of sunrise is temporary, but it prepares the land for everything that follows. Cool conditions offer a short period of relief before temperatures begin to rise. Cool layers of air slowly mix as the sun heats the surface. The sun appears gentle at first, though its strength increases quickly. Colors deepen, shadows shorten, and distant forms become sharper. What begins as a quiet glow soon becomes the dominant force over the plains. Plants begin to warm, insects become active, and air starts to rise from the ground. The first upward currents of warm air begin shaping the weather of the coming day. The sun's position transforms the same view from minute to minute. Dawn is not only a visual change, but the start of a new atmospheric cycle. The stillness of early morning gives way to the first movements of wind. Soft morning colors soon give way to the stronger tones of the sun. Shade is still long, and the ground has not yet absorbed the day's heat. Within a short time, the soft light becomes bright and direct. Every sunrise marks the return of heat, visibility, and activity. Darker soil, flattened grass and fresh deposits reveal its recent passage. These wetter pockets stand out against the surrounding plains. Dry channels can become flowing routes within a single storm. Water leaves traces even after it is gone. The savannah is shaped by differences that may be measured in only a few centimeters. Later they return to silence and dust. Rivers, rocky areas, thickets and bare ground divide the land into distinct zones. Channels appear where runoff cuts through loose earth. Where dry ground meets water, life concentrates around a narrow line. The grassland remembers water through every curve and depression. Elevation, shade and soil all influence how long water remains available. Even a slight increase in moisture can change the local habitat. Small streams may flow briefly, then vanish beneath the heat. Some stand alone, while others form loose lines along hidden watercourses. These short-lived waters reshape the landscape in quiet ways. Where moisture lingers, vegetation often grows thicker and taller. The savannah is defined as much by its margins as by its open center. Each boundary changes how movement, growth and survival unfold. These transitions are rich in opportunity and uncertainty. Edges are often among the most dynamic places in the landscape. Scattered trees create landmarks across otherwise continuous plains. Where grass meets woodland, two ecosystems overlap. Their silhouettes help give scale to the immense surroundings. Seasonal water gives the plains a constantly changing geography. Even when no water is visible, vegetation can reveal where it lies below. These details create countless small worlds within the greater grassland. Trees and shrubs break the wind and create sheltered pockets beneath them. The plains are open, but they are never without boundaries. They keep their spacing as they move, close enough for safety, loose enough for room. They move without a leader, and yet they move as one. They wear their dust proudly, a shield against the plague of flies. They spread wide across the grass, then gather at the merest hint of alarm. They rise from the mud transformed, grey and cool and briefly at peace. They cross the open plain in a broad and unhurried column. They move as a body, turning together, pausing together, flowing together. They keep to the worn trails, the accumulated wisdom of generations. The herd drifts onward, a slow procession across the open ground. They spread across the plain and gather again, breathing in and out like the tide. They follow the one ahead, who follows the one ahead, back to the first that moved. They walk in single file along the ancient trails, faithful to the path. The herd shifts and reshapes itself endlessly as it crosses the land. They drift together toward the greener ground, drawn by a shared and silent need. The herd stretches across the plain, a living thread drawn over the grass. They move in a loose and drifting mass, each finding its own place among the rest. They flow around obstacles like water, never breaking, always rejoining. They fall into line, one behind another, tracing paths worn deep by those before. They move with the patience of those who have nowhere they must be by any hour. Where the leaders go, the rest follow, drawn along by an unspoken agreement. The herd bunches close where danger might lurk and loosens where the way seems clear. The herd flows across the plain like a single, slow-moving body. The herd fans out to feed, then draws together to travel on. They tend to one another with a patient, mutual care. The herd moves like one great creature, of many parts and a single will. They lower themselves and roll, legs kicking, wholly given to the moment. They fall in behind one another, and the plain is threaded with their passing. They jostle gently for position, sorting themselves without quarrel. The old ones seem to lead, though no one truly commands the herd. Their beauty is the beauty of the wild itself, sharp and unsentimental. They carry a wild beauty that no tameness could ever match. The hunters are beautiful precisely because they are so holy themselves. To see a hunter is to see beauty and danger wearing the same face. They are the wild's finest work, shaped for a single purpose. They are perfect at what they do, honed by ages into a single form. They answer to no one, and they ask nothing of anyone. The hunter is a masterpiece of muscle, instinct, and intent. From eye to paw, they are a design perfected over countless ages. They are precisely what they need to be, and nothing more. The hunter is function and form in perfect ancient balance. Their freedom is fierce and hard won, and entirely their own. The hunters are free in a way that few things left in the world can claim. They need no one's leave to live as they were made to live. Their beauty is fierce and honest and entirely without vanity. The hunters are their own masters, beholden to nothing but their nature. There is grace in every line of them, even at perfect rest. Every part of them is shaped for a single ancient purpose. They are among the most beautiful things the plain has ever made. Every line of them speaks of the purpose they were made to serve. They belong to no one, and to nowhere but the open wild. There is a wildness in them that no comfort could ever tame. They live free of everything but hunger and instinct. Nothing about them is wasted. Every part serves the hunt. They are built for one thing, and they do that one thing better than anything. They rely on nothing but themselves, and it has always been enough. Birds, insects, and smaller plants all respond to the shelter they provide. Temperatures can change quickly when storms pass over the open land. The distribution of trees tells a story about soil, rainfall, and geography. Shade beneath a tree may be significantly cooler than the surrounding grassland. Some species thrive in open ground, while others gather near rivers and seasonal wetlands. Each plant occupies the places best suited to its own survival strategy. Rainfall encourages growth, while fire and grazing help keep the plains open. The balance between grass and trees is constantly changing. Clear skies may suddenly fill with clouds as warm air rises from the plains. Long droughts can weaken trees and leave them vulnerable to disease or fire. For many forms of life, a single canopy becomes a refuge from the sun. Storms break branches, drought removes leaves, and rain encourages new growth. Trees also slow the wind and create protected areas around their trunks. They cannot move away from danger, so they survive by adjusting to it. These sheltered spaces can retain moisture longer than exposed ground. No season leaves the landscape exactly as it found it. Lines of trees may reveal the hidden path of a river or underground water. Fallen leaves collect beneath the canopy and gradually enrich the soil. Over time, these repeated changes create the character of the plains. The tree changes the conditions around it simply by existing. The trees endure because they are built for uncertainty. Where trees grow, the savanna gains height, shade, structure and variety. Above the savanna, the sky remains the most powerful influence on life below. A lone tree can become a landmark visible across a great distance. Vegetation often shows where moisture remains, even when water cannot be seen. Too much moisture can allow woodland to expand into grassland. The savanna exists through a delicate interaction of weather, vegetation and disturbance. Every species occupies its own place within this shared environment. They do not conquer the savanna, they adapt to it. These differences reduce competition and allow many species to coexist. By breaking branches, bigger animals may make leaves available to smaller ones. The animals must respond to events they cannot control. Even solitary individuals remain connected to the wider ecosystem. Birds may follow large herbivores in search of disturbed insects. Some feed on tall leaves beyond the reach of others. Other species may benefit from the water holes they uncover or enlarge. The presence of giants can transform an ordinary place into a centre of activity. One species may prepare the way for another. Their future depends on flexibility rather than certainty. The savannah is not simply a collection of animals, but a network of dependencies. Those that survive learn to live within the limits of the land. Each species has adapted to the presence of the others. Some graze close to the ground, while others prefer tougher vegetation. Protecting large herbivores also helps protect the landscapes they shape. The same landscape can provide different opportunities for different animals. These relationships have developed over immense periods of time. Their feeding habits create layers of activity across the plains. Their continued survival is tied to the health of the entire ecosystem. By removing older growth, large grazers can expose fresh shoots below. When one important species disappears, the effects can spread far beyond its absence. On the savannah, no creature exists entirely alone. Smaller animals may use their paths through dense vegetation. Their massive bodies create opportunities as well as competition. Where they gather, other forms of life often follow. The actions of a single animal can influence many others. Water moves through the savannah with different speeds, from quiet seepage to sudden flood. Evaporation slowly removes water from exposed surfaces. A slow current may seem peaceful, but it can still carry soil and nutrients over great distances. Each current redistributes resources across the landscape. After heavy rain, dry channels may become powerful routes of moving water. Faster water cuts deeper pathways through the land. Without these changes, many parts of the savannah would become less fertile. Water carries more than moisture. It also carries seeds, minerals, and organic material. Water levels therefore tell stories about distant regions. The movement of water links distant ecosystems into one continuous network. What begins as reefy clothes may support life far away. A rising current can announce weather that never reached the local plain. Rivers remember storms that occurred beyond the visible horizon. The savannah is connected through drainage systems that cross enormous areas. Under intense heat, a shallow pool may shrink noticeably within a single day. Even isolated pools may have been formed by events far beyond the camera's view. Floodplains depend on cycles of overflow and retreat. A water source can be local in appearance but regional in importance. As it retreats, it leaves behind moisture and fertile sediment. This temporary expansion can transform the productivity of the land. Each hour of sunlight changes the balance between water gained and water lost. These brief flows can reconnect habitats that were separated for months. Floodwater spreads beyond the river and renews wide areas of the plain. A single bird stands motionless, a small, dark shape upon the grass. The clouds sail overhead, and the birds move among them. A lone bird circles high overhead, master of its solitude. One bird sits in the highest branch, surveying its wide domain. The clouds pile high, and the birds climb toward them. A solitary flyer crosses the plain, quiet and unhurried and free. The birds share the sky with the clouds, the wind and the endless night. The sound of 100 wings fills the air as the flock takes flight. A rush of wings, and the bird is airborne. With a few strong strokes, they lift free of the earth. Their wings open wide, catching the wind, and they are gone. The sky changes its mood 100 times, and the birds ride every one. They spread their wings, and the air takes hold, and they climb. The open sky holds no roads, no walls, no ending. A flurry of wing beats, and the bird vanishes into the sky. Their wings work tirelessly, carrying them across the endless plain. Alone upon the wind, it needs no company but the open sky. The beat of their wings whispers across the plain. Their wings catch the air and press against it, and they rise. The soft beat of wings marks their passing overhead. The great blue vault arches over the plain, boundless and clear. High clouds drift across the sky, and the birds trace their own paths beneath. The sky is a shifting country, forever remade by wind and cloud. The sun's final angle emphasizes every ridge, hollow and trail across the ground. Dust suspended in the air glows softly under the low evening light. Golden light travels across the plains before withdrawing into the west. The colours of the landscape become warmer even as the air begins to cool. Sunset marks a transition rather than an ending. The fading light signals a change in activity across the entire ecosystem. Daytime movement begins to slow, while nocturnal life prepares to emerge. Rivers and pools hold the colours of the sky for a few final moments. The darkening shoreline becomes more difficult to distinguish from the water. Shadows merge together as the remaining light becomes softer. Still, water can preserve the evening sky like a mirror. The horizon loses its sharpness beneath haze, dust, or distant cloud. Mist may begin to gather over low ground as temperatures fall. Reflections on water turn from bright silver to deep gold. distant movement may appear only as a dark shape crossing the horizon. Ripples break the sunset into constantly moving patterns. For a short time, the creatures of day and night share the same landscape. The last calls of the afternoon blend with the first sounds of evening. At this hour, the savannah feels both peaceful and alert. We were guests for a while, and the land was gracious, and now we take our leave. The seasons turn, the generations pass, and the whole endures unbroken. The story goes on without us, as it went on long before us. The wild endures, patient and eternal, beneath the vast and watching sky. Life carries on, fierce and fragile and free across this timeless ground. We watch the wild not to escape our lives, but to understand them. What we have seen belongs now to memory, but the land holds the truth of it still. Every life here is borrowed from the land and returned to it in full. The earth abides, serene and ancient, through all that lives and dies. The wild belongs to itself, as it always has, and always will. In the end, this is the only story there is life, enduring beneath an endless sky. Perhaps we come to places like this to remember something we had almost forgotten. there is something here that stays with you long after you have gone. The wild keeps no monument but the living grass, and needs no other.